Everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Liza Adams, and we're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, and we're going to talk about the opportunities that artificial intelligence brings to CMOs, not just from a tactical perspective, but from a strategic perspective as well. Liza, who's in a very cold Boulder, Colorado, with a hot chocolate. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. So it's just Liza Adams, and it's Liza. And you can also find me on my website, which is www.growthpath.net.
So, Liza, we actually, I found you because you wrote a marketing profs article, which I thought was excellent, which was all about I wrote down something from it, which is we now have, you said this, we now have an opportunity with AI in marketing to make an impact front and center to the organization. Wow.
Yes.
How does AI give us that opportunity?
Yeah, so I believe that AI is a gift to many, particularly marketers in the professional world. There's been I wouldn't say pervasive, but there are many people that believe that marketing is more of a tactical kind of profession rather than strategic. And I think AI gives us that opportunity to lean in more strategically because it allows us to not only create content, which we're known for, but also deeply understand the market, deeply understand the product, ensure product market fit. It's all about deep analytics, data driven insights that help inform strategies. And once you have those foundational strategies in place, demand generation gets easier. Building that relationship with the customer gets easier. So I think this notion of marketing perhaps being arts and crafts to some people, we can put it on its head, right? And we can really show what it takes to plan, what it takes to deeply understand the market before we can launch to the market these great campaigns, these great stories, and these great websites and experiences.
Because you're deeply passionate about this, I know,
Yes.
and I know that. I was reading a book. I can't remember which one it was, but it described marketing, and the classic is a company starts. The CEO decides that he wants to have an executive assistant. And what they do is that they give marketing to the executive assistant because he or she doesn't actually have a full-time job. So they will, because it's easy, isn't it? And I know that and while many people do that well, I know that what you want from marketing is in effect to be able to go to take the word to the CFO and the CEO and the board and say, look what we're doing, aren't we amazing?
Yeah, and the definition of great marketing hasn't changed, right? Great marketing is not just about understanding products. It's not just about understanding the market. It's not just about building a great campaign and building great relationships. It's the combination of all those three. And in fact, when a company is starting, when there's a new product market fit is so important, right? It's about finding that sweet spot where your product delivers the best possible value for a specific customer, whether it's a segment of the market, a particular role, a particular function. And now in the age of AI, we can personalize to a human being. That's a very different kind of mindset in thinking about marketing that way, and thinking about marketing as deeply understanding who we want to target, where those people are, how they go through the process of buying, how did they go through the process of buying more from us and believing in the vision. That is well beyond what people can see. I kind of describe marketing as, there are things below the water, like it's on an iceberg. And what we see is just the very top, right? We just see the emails, we just see the website, the beautiful ads, the beautiful videos. But all of these things that happen at the bottom, where we're interviewing customers, really understanding where they're coming from, where their pain points are, those are very difficult, right? And those key insights are key to really establishing a great relationship with customers. And I think, when I hear stats like there are only 26 marketers on Fortune 1000 boards, or only 2.6% of board members have marketing experience, this kind of speaks to this thought that marketing is primarily a tactical function when it isn't, right? If you do all these things that are below the water, underneath in that iceberg, that's a very strategic function. It starts there. And without that, it's kind of like building a beautiful house on quicksand.
So we've got a couple of comments coming in. One says hi. Just so the person knows, the reason why it says LinkedIn user is that you have to go to your settings and give LinkedIn permission to share your information. Andrew says hi, and then the LinkedIn user says, has the program started? And I'm checking everything, and I'm assuming it has. The fact that Andrew has said hi, I'm assuming that he's actually watching it. If you could just say you are watching and it is working, Andrew, I'd appreciate it. It does take 30 seconds or so to come through. Lisa, the other thing so that's marketing. Now, the other thing about AI is that AI often, what I see people is, well, I'm going to automate things. And I have a person in the team who is he is pushing AI to as far as he can in terms of, and he says, yeah, that's kind of interesting. So Daryl says it's working. The person said it's watching. And Carrie Wright says it's working. So brilliant. I have to ask that again, and then loads of people will say it's working. That's great. And so with AI, one of the things you can do is you can automate some things, which is great. But actually, it gives you an opportunity to do things that you couldn't do yourself, either because you don't have the time, or you don't have the inclination, or actually you don't have the brain power to do it.
Yeah, there's different kinds of AI, right? But generative AI has been so in our face over the last year, so accessible to many, and it's really known for its content creation capabilities, right? We create images, we create blogs, we summarize reports. But as McKinsey says, the investment in AI and marketing will result in anywhere from 1.4 to 2.6 trillion dollars of business value. And what that tells me is we can't stop at content creation. We can't even stop at automation. To your point, right? We're using this thing to do repetitive tasks in a more automated way. So I think about it in areas, in 5 areas. Content creation is one. We all know it can do that. The other area is in ideation and collaboration. I actually work with GPT-4 and Claude simultaneously, and I use them as extra teammates on our team.
Yep.
So you can take what GPT-4 tells you, put it into Claude, ask Claude what it thinks about it. Claude will respond. Sometimes they disagree. Oftentimes they're actually highly collaborative and even very complimentary of each other. Then I take Claude's response, put it back into GPT-4 and say, hey guys, what do you think about this? So that's the ideation and collaboration aspect of it, where you're feeding them ideas and then they are making those ideas better. The third thing is around automation. We've already seen this in many areas, even before generative AI. We've seen it in machine learning, with predictive analytics, but it was more embedded in the solutions that we find in the market. And then now with GPT-4 and custom GPTs and the GPT store, there's lots of automation that's happening in there. There's even a category called productivity, all sorts of productivity types of applications. The fourth thing is one that's near and dear to my heart because it strikes right at that center of strategy in marketing, and it's data-driven insights and analytics. Now we can take customer behaviors, we can take features that they use, we can take pain points, all of these pieces of data, massive amounts of data, whether it's in a vertical, in a function, or in a role, and do some analytics and really determine how customers are viewing our product, how we might serve them better in the future, what are the different key pain points that we are not addressing, those types of things. And again, once we have that understanding, it gets so much easier to build that relationship. And it helps us in the last thing that I'm going to be talking about is in personalization, right? You deeply understand the customer. Now, this is no longer a conversation around how do we best target financial services? How do we best target IT managers? Or how do we best target the C-suite? It's now a conversation about how do we best target Liza Adams? How do we target Tim Hughes? Because we deeply know that person. We know how they buy. We know what communities they belong to. We know what features they're already currently using. So I think in those 5 areas, from content creation, ideation and collaboration, automation, data analytics and insights, and then finally, personalization, the combination of all 5 of those things allow us, I believe, to achieve that $1.4 to $2.6 trillion of business value.
Yeah, I think the 2.6 figure is way too low.
I would agree.
This is AI is it's as revolutionary as the silicon chip, which generated mobile phones and the web and stuff like that, and it's probably it's as revolutionary as that. I mean, and the way I love the way that you've come up with these 5 points, because and in your article you go into those in a lot of detail, because of the fact that it's not just about creating some content using automation. It's about using it as a tool every day. And there's an expectation, I would have thought, that now, if we assume the CFO and the CEO understand how to use it, they would expect us to use it as well. And as marketeers, if we're going to be front and center, that we could be taking things to them saying, this is what we think the world's going to look like in 2 years' time. Therefore, this is what we should be doing as a business.
Yeah. What's critical about what you said there is marketing needs the support of others in the C-suite, right? We can't do this on our own. Whether it's the CEO, the CFO, the CIO, it's a team sport, right? And I think marketing has such a great opportunity to take this role of driving alignment in that C-suite, because we have access to the data, because we deeply understand the customers in the market. And let me give you an example. I created this with my team, created a heat map that basically analyzed the 5 different target segments across a number of
Did you post this on
criteria.
LinkedIn the other day?
Yes, I talked about it in LinkedIn about a couple months ago.
Okay.
And then I post a lot on LinkedIn.
You do. And by the way, if you're watching this, if you don't know Lisa, she's a great resource on stuff. So
one of our biggest challenges, Tim, was which segments of the market do we go after, right? So we basically used GPT-4 and created a heat map to evaluate 5 different segments across 8 different criteria from market size, market growth, strength of partners, competitive intensity, all the way to number of reference customers. Evaluated each one of those segments to determine which ones were the best fit for us. And basically inputted a lot of data into GPT-4, redacted where we needed, because we need to use it responsibly. And we did some forced ranking across the 5 different segments to identify which of these vertical markets were best fit for us. Now, we didn't just state the answers that GPT-4 gave us, right? Because it had a top 3 list. We took that to the executive team, to the C-suite, and said, all right, everybody has their own perspectives, but we now have something to base a foundational framework by which we can have a conversation. And we basically looked at that. Given that it was data driven, it was very helpful in encouraging people to have a conversation, share their perspectives, and then align around the right segments to go after. In the past, it was very difficult for marketing to do, right? It might take 3 to 4 weeks, maybe even months to come up with the data, do all that analysis. It took us literally 3 days.
Yeah.
It took longer to compile the data, redact it, than it is for AI to do the heat map for us. So I think it is just such a great value add and a great position for marketing to be in to drive alignment, because once we have that alignment, like I said, everything gets easier, right? You align the rest of the organization, the initiatives become more clear, who
Yep.
you go after become more clear, their pain points become more clear, campaigns now become highly personalized and relevant, right? And then ultimately, when we get down to the metrics and how we measure these things, we can go back and say, why didn't we do these things? Well, guess what? We didn't prioritize those things.
No.
So anyway, I think it just gives us a really good foundation by which to judge ourselves and by which to develop go-to-market strategies and execute on that.
Andrew makes a great comment, which is, while it is understandable people have fears regarding AI, once people understand how to use it and are able to set the parameters, it will surely be beneficial to everybody.
Yeah, I love that, Andrew. And one of my key points that I make in my talks is that AI education, regardless of how we feel about AI, right? Whether we love it and we're completely embracing it, or we have a lot of fear or reservations about it. Like my husband, he's a writer, is a published author. He still doesn't know where he stands on AI, right? Like he fears that whatever ideas he has that he feeds into AI will be for public consumption, and it will no longer be unique to his stories, right? But at the same time, he's a right leg amputee due to cancer, and he loves the idea of robotics making changing people's lives, right? So I have so much empathy for people throughout the journey that they're on, whether they're embracing it completely or they have fear and reservation about it, right? But what I love what Andrew is saying is, regardless of where you are in that spectrum, the main thing is education and awareness. When we know, when we understand, then we can make decisions for ourselves. We can also be part of the conversation to influence. So, absent that education, it's going to be really hard, right? So people are saying, "Hey, it's overhyped. AI is overhyped by companies, by many people." I'd say stop saying that, right? It's not overhyped. Just deeply understand. That's all we need to do. Deeply understand first, then we can make the right decisions.
And we've had a comment from LinkedIn user. Sorry, LinkedIn user. If you put your name in, I'll try and remember to use that. True, you must know who your target is, then market to the person. Pain points using AI. Privacy is a major concern. We're building a target list and targeting a person of interest. And there's a bit that which doesn't come up, which says they love your heat map idea, and so do I.
Yeah, this notion of responsible AI, I'm so passionate about, right? Although I'm pro education and embracing AI, responsibility is so crucial, especially as we get deeper into the personalization aspect of things, right? Like we're getting people's contact information, and at some point, this is not just collecting that information, our AI will actually be able to take action on our behalf. So let's take, for instance, in the travel industry, where you're asking Expedia or your favorite travel company to build an itinerary for you. You want to go on safari, right? Or so now you're going to need to give them not just your credit card information, but hey, passport. You're going to Africa. You're going to South Africa. You're going to Rwanda to go see the gorillas. Are you okay sharing passport, right? Those kinds of things. Let's say in the healthcare industry, are you now okay sharing your medical information with an AI-based solution? So I think many of these things we need to really deeply understand the impact on the individual. Some things are going to be embraced faster than others because we're used to it. And really, Paul Raitzer of the Marketing AI Institute says that our ability to get value out of AI depends on our willingness to give it information. You're willing to give it passport information? Okay, yes, you'll get automated, and your Safari will be fully booked and all those things, right? But if you're not, then you might have to do certain things for yourself. So there's that aspect of it that really still relies on the individual and the company to determine where that balance is between what people are willing to give to AI.
Andrew says, and it's very tempting to do this in an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, but I'm not going to do it, is that many people have poor education into AI due to Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. If anybody has ever read his autobiography, it's actually very, very good. He's actually a really articulate, motivational person. Well, in his book he is. So, Lisa, thank you so much for coming in and talking about AI, especially around the business impact that marketeers can make. I think you've shared a number of ideas that people could go away and have a look at. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn, Liza Adams, or my website, growthpath.net. And, I am so excited to be on this learning journey. And I do it with everyone, right? So please, follow me, connect with me, share your insights, share your learnings. And I tell people, it feels as if OpenAI dumped a box of Legos at our front doorstep. But unfortunately, the box does not have a picture or instructions for what to build.
This is a beautiful metaphor, Lisa.
Right?
I'm going to steal this.
Unlike previous inflection points where there are some instructions, right? You could kind of just, learn as you go. This one we got to get our hands on. This one we have to take inspiration from others, from what they build and what they learn. This one we have to share. So I am so excited about the opportunity to continue collaborating with this community.
And I would echo what you said, Lisa. I'm connected to you on LinkedIn, and the reason why I asked you to come on here is because you say some really interesting things. I mean, the criteria to come on here is to be an interesting person, so you pass that test. And anybody that you are saying a lot of very innovative things around AI, and I highly recommend people follow you or connect to you.
Well, thank you. I stand on the shoulder of giants, and I learn from many. And it's how I give back, and it's to just pay it forward.
Excellent. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your insight. It's been awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. You take care.
Thank